Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to the next video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new rocket sidearm, the Lotus-Eater. Today is finally the day. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this sidearm, including myself, but it's finally available with this week's Nightfall. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at this new rocket sidearm. What are the things that make it unique? What are the perks that you can get on this weapon? And which ones are the best ones if you're looking for a god roll on this weapon? And at the end, we'll also have a mini review where I used to talk about the things that I like or dislike about the weapon in my time that I played with it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you do, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel in case you guys aren't already. So let's get into it, and the very first thing we're going to talk about is how to actually get this weapon. And you can get this weapon from this week's Nightfall as well as the Grandmaster Nightfall. If you decide to go with the Grandmaster route, as long as you kill all the champions and get a Platinum rating, you are guaranteed to get one. And if you go with the normal Nightfalls, the higher difficulty you get in Nightfall, the more likely you are to get the weapon. You can actually still get it on like the lowest difficulty Nightfall, but it's just going to be a lot harder. But I definitely recommend that you go into the GMs this week and try to get one of these, since this one is definitely going to be worth it. And if you guys maybe are new to the GMs, don't worry, because I have some builds for you, so you can go in there and just get some clears. And I'm also going to be streaming all week, trying to help people get some GM clears. So my Twitch will also be in the description and the comments as well. Now this weapon comes with two different origin traits, Vanguard Vindication and Stunning Recovery, and I think both of these are actually going to be pretty good depending on the type of activity you're doing. If you're doing anything with champions, then Stunning Recovery is going to be better, since every time that you stun a champion, it refills your magazine and it triggers health regen, so that's going to be pretty good. And then for everything else that doesn't have champions, Vanguard's Vindication is also going to be pretty good, since it gives you health every time you get final blows. So you're always just going to be constantly getting health back as long as you get some kills. And since this is a rocket sidearm and getting a bunch of kills is pretty much what it's good at, then this is going to be something that procs very often. Now let's move on and let's actually start looking at the perks that we have on this weapon. Now we're not going to be taking a look at every single perk, but we're essentially just going to be taking a look at the best ones, because I know that's what you guys are looking for. And after the perks, we'll have some god suggestions if that's what you guys are looking for. So let's get into it and let's get started with the very first trait perk. So these are going to be the options we have for the very first trait perk. We have Strategist, Feeding Frenzy, Repulsor Brace, Shoot to Loot, Beacon Rounds, and then lastly Reconstruction. And we're going to be starting with Reconstruction first, since it's like the very first time we're actually seeing it on a rocket sidearm. And Reconstruction is going to be fantastic. It auto-reloads your weapon, it overflows it, it means that your weapon's always going to be ready to go, and you're going to be able to shoot this thing for a very long time. Reconstruction is something that you could always put on any weapon, and they'll be better, and the same is going to be with this sidearm. You're pretty much going to be able to pair up Reconstruction with every single perk, and it'll be pretty good. Now another one, to the surprise of nobody, is going to be Repulsor Brace. Repulsor Brace is fantastic this season with all the mods, just applying a bunch of void debuffs, so you can proc this a lot, and especially because this can also roll with destabilizing rounds. So a destabilizing Repulsor Brace combo is something you can get on this sidearm, and it's going to work really well. You can never go wrong with Repulsor Brace. It is going to be a fantastic perk, giving you a bit more survivability. Those two I think are going to be the best ones, but there's still some other ones that I think are a little bit more niche, but you could definitely use. The first one being Strategist. Whenever you get some final blows with this weapon, you get some class ability energy. If you're in a build that heavily relies on class ability energy, or you just like using class ability a lot, then this is definitely something you could definitely use, since the sidearms are very good at getting a lot of kills. You're going to be getting lots of energy from Strategists. Shoot to Loot is also going to be a really good one, and if you're somebody that likes using Shoot to Loot, you already know how good and useful this perk is, even if it's very situational and only a certain percentage of the player base actually uses it. You actually have a lot of really good perks in this column. Some of them, like I said, are more niche than others, but overall I think you have some really good choices in this one. And now let's move on to the second one. Now these are the options we're going to have for the second perk. We have One for All, Destabilizing Rounds, High Ground, Reverberation, Withering Gaze, and then Adrenaline Junkie. And most of these perks are actually going to be pretty good, but I think the best ones are going to be One for All, Destabilizing, and also Withering Gaze. So let's start with those. Now first of all, One for All is a PvE staple. It has always been good in PvE. It's a big damage buff that's very easy to proc, so One for All is fantastic, and it's also going to be pretty good on this one. And since this weapon is a rocket sidearm, if a lot of enemies are kind of close to each other, you're going to be able to hit multiple of them with just one shot, allowing you to proc One for All even faster. So I think One for All is actually going to be really good on the sidearm, and if you're looking for just increasing your damage on it, this is going to be your best bet. After that, we have destabilizing rounds. These things get a big glow up this season. Now they're probably one of the best perks in the game. They give you volatile rounds whenever you get a kill, and they also still do that initial explosion that spreads volatile. They're just fantastic, and with all the mods that we have this season with Void, these things are amazing. This now essentially gives you like permanent volatile rounds as long as you're able to continue to kill ads, which with that rocket sidearm is just something you can very easily do. So all of the time you're going to be walking around with volatile rounds, allowing you to have even better ad clear than you already do with this sidearm. This thing is going to be amazing, and if you pair this up with Repulsive Race, not only do you get all the ad clear, but you also on top of it get all the survivability of getting all those void over shields. These stabilizing rounds is something that I've really been looking forward to getting on that rocket sidearm, so this is going to be really good. And our final perk is going to be Withering Gaze, and I really love this, and I have been just falling in love more and more with this perk, because it essentially makes it so you always have a weaken with you, no matter what. It's just always just built into your weapon, and as long as you have ammo, you're going to be able to apply weaken on whatever you need it. Whether it's a champion, a mini boss, a boss, just having that weaken that's always constantly available, it's a fantastic perk. And when you have it on a weapon like this one that can also output quite a bit of damage, it's going to be fantastic. This is going to become like your all-in-one sidearm that you're going to be able to stun champions, apply debuffs, and also actually kill those champions themselves. Withering Gaze is going to be fantastic, and this one kind of works with pretty much anything. You don't really have to have like a specific perk pairing. This is just going to be good with anything regardless of what you have. So those three perks I think are going to be the best ones and the ones that you should be looking for on this slot. And now let's move on and let's start talking about some god rolls. Now we're going to be starting off with the classic, and that is Destabilizing Rounds Repulsive Race. It's going to be really good on this weapon as well, and it doesn't rely on any sort of artifacts to be good. It is a roll that's just always going to be good. You're always going to have that extra ad clear with Destabilizing Rounds, especially now that they've been buffed, plus a bit of survivability with Repulsive Race, just constantly giving you those void over shields. You already know about this roll, you know, it's pretty much the roll that I'm sure everyone looked at this thing and immediately thought about. The next one is going to be Reconstruction plus 1 for all. This one's going to be really good. You're going to be able to overflow the magazine and just take more advantage of 1 for all. We're going to have that big damage buff, and we're just going to be able to use it as much as we can since we won't have to reload. So this one works pretty well, and you can pretty much use it with anything. It's not really tied to like a specific subclass or anything like that. It's just going to be a good weapon that you can put on anything. Before I move on, I actually do want to mention some rolls that are going to be specifically really good this season, just because how easily it is to get these stabilizing rounds. The first one is going to be Repulsive Race plus 1 for all. This one's going to be amazing because you get that 35% increased damage from 1 for all, while at the same time still getting all those overshields from the Repulsive Race, because you're going to be constantly having those volatile rounds just from the artifact mods. This is pretty much just Repulsive Race plus destabilizing, just that it does even more damage since we have 1 for all also built into the weapon. And the other rolls gonna be Repulsive Race plus Withering Gaze, and this is gonna be the do everything roll. You're gonna be able to have the destabilizing, have the overshields, and also at the same time use Withering Gaze, which is an amazing perk to essentially just weaken anything that you want. Especially since the rocket sidearms do some pretty good damage all by themselves, this is basically your all-in-one weapon. You stun champions, you weaken them as well, while at the same time also having some amazing ad clear thanks to the volatile rounds, as well as getting the overshields, increasing your survivability. You want just the best roll that you can use this season, or with any like sort of like Grafalcon hunter build, then this is gonna be it. Now these two rolls will lose a little bit of value once like the season is over and the mods go away, but as long as you pair it up with something that constantly gives you volatile rounds, you'll pretty much be able to take this into any season, have some pretty good success. Now another roll that I think is going to work pretty well is going to be Reconstruction plus Withering Gaze. Actually, pretty much anything with Withering Gaze will work. You could pair up any perk with it and it'll still be good. What I really like about this one is that once you proc that weaken, thanks to that overflow magazine, you can pretty much get the most out of this weapon, being able to get a lot of damage out there and take advantage of the whole weaken duration. And lastly, for those of you shoot to loot fans, we do also have shoot to loot, so you can pair that up with pretty much anything. But I think most of you guys are either going to go shoot to loot with Withering Gaze or shoot to loot with some 1 for all. If you know, you know. Now, those are the roles that I recommend that you guys go for on this sidearm. Hopefully you guys like them. And also, if I didn't mention a role that you think that I should have mentioned, or maybe a perk that maybe I just didn't pay too much attention to, definitely leave me down that in the comments below. As well as you want to tell me the god role that you want, or you're looking for, tell me your god role suggestions in the comments below as well. Just so we can share around the god roles and I can see what everyone's going for. So now, what do I actually think about this weapon? And spoiler alert, this pretty much all just gonna be positive. The rocket sidearms are still a fantastic weapon. They have so much ammo, they do so much damage, and them being anti-barrier this season just makes them perfect weapons for any endgame content. But even if you're not using them in content that has champions, they still have so much ammo and they can put out a lot of damage. You can pretty much just treat them almost as a primary. And with a couple of extra mods, if you focus like special ammo, you can actually use them as primary. And this one, it's a fantastic addition to like the cast of special sidearms. We pretty much been waiting for a boy one for a while, since we already had the exotic one, so they probably weren't in a hurry to make this one. But it's actually so good, and I'm actually kind of glad that they kind of waited, so we actually got this one that is much better than it would have been otherwise. Mostly because if it was released earlier, it would not have come with Withering Gaze, and this perk is just such a good perk, and it makes this weapon and the usability of this weapon even better. Like I said earlier in the video, this sidearm has the potential to pretty much do everything. Apply weaken, give you extra survivability, give you extra ad clear, you get that extra damage with one throw. It has so many good perks that there's no way that you can actually go wrong with this sidearm, and you're probably going to be getting a pretty decent roll very easily. This is pretty much going to become one of the best boy weapons, or actually one of the best weapons in the game, just period, that a lot of people are going to be using. This is actually going to end up being pretty similar to something like the Core 1, where it's a very good special weapon that has tons of ammo, that can just pretty much treat it as a primary, and that people love using it on their void builds. But this time, it's not an exotic, so you're going to be seeing it even more, since people are going to be pairing up with either some really good exotic weapons or some really good exotic heavies. So I'm very excited about this weapon, and I'm probably not going to put it down for the rest of the season, especially because I got Withering Gaze on mine, and it's just over. Having a weekend just constantly on you, it's just so good. But with that, we're going to end today's video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, dislike if you didn't, subscribe to the channel in case you guys are not already. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this weapon. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Are you going to be grinding for it? All of that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.